Hello, folks, and greetings. Welcome to Introduction to Geography. Just want to take a few minutes and auditorily go over the syllabus for those of you who, can read it and understand it, but need to hear me talk about it to further understand, you know, the the vital statistics, if you will, of the document. Much is, I would say some things are won and lost over what folks understand and don't understand about the syllabus. I would say that letter grades are often what gets determined by uh, not knowing what's on the syllabus or understanding it. And I'm going to emphasize some of those things. Now, I'm not going to cover everything. Obviously, you can read, you know, some of this on your own, but there's some things of vital importance, you know, based off what I just talked about, that I want to go over. So let's take a look at this here and look at the screen, my screen sharing, and get the syllabus up here. There we go. The contact information. And again, this is all on your course page, right? This document. Um, Contact information. Um, Feel free to call me, right? If you need to talk about something, whether it's instruction or, you know, the vibe you're getting from me or whatever. Hopefully it's not that ever, but feel free to give me a jingle. Let me know you're going to do it, and I really do not have ever have a problem with that. We can also we can also Zoom too if you would like to do that. So for the exception of Sunday, Sundays I pretty much dial it back. I really don't check anything. So if you're um, try and get a hold of me Sunday at some point in time. Probably not going to see it until Monday. Okay, so the availability thing. The text, the text is right here, right, right here. Let's get the take the screen share off here for a moment. There you go. Here's the text. The 8th edition Introduction to Geography, Arthur Geddes, uh, Mark Bielen, and Victoria Geddes. There you go. Okay. Here is the textbook. And course description, you guys can check that out on your own. Course objectives. The methodology, we'll talk about that. This course is going to be presented in a combination of formats, and I'm reading, including lecture, discussion posts. I will have videos, and we'll have some independent research in the form of what I call labs. More on all of that in a few minutes. The lectures, the most common format, will focus on the material found in the text, including analysis and interpretation of data in written table, graph, chart, and map form. It will be accompanied with prepared notes. All right, accompanied with prepared notes, which I call lecture models, and let me show you one of those. What they generally look like, and you will be able to download these right from the course page. take my screen share off here again and show these to you. The lecture models um, look like this generally, right? I have major terms that are going to be on there that are maybe hard to understand. Um, the course objectives, and then I go through the model, right? And because of time, I cannot cover everything. I cannot cover everything. So generally, what I do is I choose about oh 4 or 5 topics, concepts in the chapter, and that's what I cover, and that's what you guys need to know for your discussion posts and for your quizzes, right? And ostensibly for your your exams, your final at the end of the course. But um, so what I do to lecture models, and you'll see them here. Um, I have fill in the blanks because of time, fill in the blanks, and then I have areas because we are in college where you some white space where you will have to record notes. And that being said, there are no tricks. When it comes quiz time and discussion posts, what I want you to know and what I want you to riff on in the the discussion posts. Okay, and want to let me see. Want to elaborate on that in a few minutes. So keep the lecture model in your back pocket there. The lectures will be presented via YouTube, right? Will be presented via YouTube as is this. A link will be provided each Monday morning, right? Each Monday morning, and during that juncture, you're encouraged to take notes on the lecture model via my lecture, since the emphasized material will be needed for discussion posts and could also appear on such items as a quiz and final. The lectures will be followed up with an activity to assist you in your comprehension of the factual information, plus additional activities to provide kind of a scaffold up into higher order thinking and synthesizing the material. So in the final analysis, you'll be evaluated through class activities, labs, which I'll get to in a minute, quizzes, and discussion posts. We'll have a term paper and a final exam. Here's what I wanted to really emphasize, and this is where letter grades and even sometimes pass or fail are made or broken here doing this online, is that the hub of the wheel, the hub of your informational wheel are the lectures, right? The lectures and accompanying lecture models. Therefore, I hate to tell you this, you have to watch me and listen to that once a week, because what's happened in the past is I'll have some kind of comprehension exercise based off the lectures, and students haven't watched it. They haven't watched it, and they go and they try to find things online pertaining to a concept. And although globally that might be true, what they're writing, it's not what I taught. It's kind of a rabbit trail based off the specifics of what I want you to know and what's going to be on the quizzes. Same thing with the discussion posts. Folks I got a question there based off of what I taught during the week and what you practice with your activity, and saw in your videos or whatever, and it's really not at all what I emphasized. The funnel, the narrow funnel, what I emphasized. So folks are not really answering questions. They don't know really how to answer it when it comes to quiz time, and I'm imagining you can get the picture right now that that can make or break a grade, or certainly keep folks from grabbing on to a higher letter grade. So don't do that. Do not, do not miss the lectures, right? Not that I want to be seen, but that's how I'm dispensing the information. Okay. Expected learning outcomes, you guys, I think you can check that out on your own, right? I would advise doing that, right? And let me see, student evaluation. Okay, yeah, probably should talk about this. Student evaluation will consist of, I think it's 13 quizzes. We'll be quizzing um, every week. The good news is you folks won't be having a midterm with me, right? So the quizzes will make up for that. And 13 quizzes covering material presented in the lecture. Big, right? The lecture. Follow the lecture. Practice materials, discussions, a term paper, weekly labs via internet research, and a final exam. Participation, right? Participation will be graded on that. This component will consist of the practice activities. The practice activities will be in the form of, you'll see sum it up sheets, reading guides, right? So these are like comprehension activities, and we'll get to that in a minute. Generally, they'll be available in the middle of the week, all right, in the middle of the week to do. Attendance, right? Attendance is getting the information to me on the day it's due. On the day it's due, right? It will be your responsibility to use those activities as well as any instructor feedback as prompts to prepare you for the quizzes and discussion posts. Being deemed present for class will hinge on whether you submit your assignment on time. Right, the assignments will be due 12:01 a.m. of a particular day, due 11:59 that night. So we have 24 hours to get to it, right? Because we all have online, you guys all have your different schedules. Quizzes. All right, chapter quiz will be administered before a new unit. This will generally be administered on Monday. If that will change, I'll notify you. The quiz will be available at 12:01 a.m. right on Mondays of the due date and will remain available until 11:59 p.m. They will be obviously online quizzes. The quiz will not be administered before or after the stated due date. Any mitigating circumstances will be dealt with accordingly. Some kind of emergency, medical emergency, right? Would have to be, I'd have to have some kind of documentation with that. I would say too that employer conflicts, that doesn't count, right? That doesn't count. I don't know how many times I've heard that over the years. My employer will not let me, come to class today because someone didn't show up and I've got to replace them. It's students' responsibility to know the schedules and the stipulations, and your employer's problem is really not mine. Okay. Term paper, I will have, you'll see a module on the course page. By the time you see this, I will have that up and ready to go. It'll be a module on the term paper. Late papers are those papers that are not turned in when requested after the due date of the paper that will not be accepted. Discussion posts, you'll see a rubric on the course page, right? You'll see a rubric on the course page as well for that. Labs will be internet research, kind of synthesizing the material discussed during the week. Late lab submissions will accrue 5% late penalties for each day the assignment remains outstanding. The labs, if it could be easy for me to say, but I don't think so. The labs are pretty cool. Actually, Again, they synthesize the learning. It goes beyond what I'm talking about, what the textbooks are talking about, and gives you a chance to see things in real time. I know the in chapter one, we're going to be getting into a little bit into some of the careers in geography. So your lab will be some internet research. You can get these on the course page. Right, the lab will be internet research, and you'll be answering some questions like, what is a specialty group? What are some careers that are offered on the Association of American Geographers website? Sometimes I'll get when we get into later on in the course, we're going to be looking at um, border disputes, right? Border geography regarding borders, and I'm going to be highlighting border disputes. So one of your labs will be some getting on the CIA fact book and looking at a list of countries there and see what their border disputes are, and what those disputes are about, et cetera, et cetera. So really cool stuff. And as we get into the course, so many students are like, wow, I just never realized that geography dealt with this. Which leads me to say, too, that, and I chide my um, colleagues in the social sciences, that geography is really king when it comes to the social sciences. It deals with the five themes of geography, which deal with culture, deals with psychology, deals with economics, deals with history, and other things in the social sciences. And for those of you who are education majors, geography, if you know geography and those five themes, which naturally get covered, in a geographical course, you really have tools to teach all the other social sciences. And I'll point that out as we go along. So geography is king as far as I am concerned. I like it. I like it so much that let's just put it this way: if it's a Saturday night and my wife wants to go out dancing, and I happen to have a good geography book in my hand, I might have to stop and contemplate whether I want to follow her lead or not. Right? And you get the picture. What I think of the course and the discipline. The final, right? The final will consist of subjective and objective questions with assorted essay questions. Much of the quiz questions, many of the quiz questions, will be pulled and placed on the final as they were on the quizzes. So there will be no makeups for the final apart from the written documentation, giving evidence of some kind of medical or family emergency, right? There'll be no early deliveries of the final. Again, employer conflicts is not going to matter, right? Grading, you could check the grading out for out on your own. Grading scale, and here's a tentative schedule. This is probably one of the two or three things. The reason why I wanted to talk about this visually to you, rather than have you read it. Monday, after this week that you're watching me, beginning on Monday of week 2, this coming Monday, um, that's when I will be administering the quizzes, right, from material the preceding week. A lecture accompanied with lecture model. Note, lecture model can be downloaded off of the course page. So the hub of the wheel, right, the lecture models and the lectures. Tuesdays, I'll probably upload for you guys some kind of audio, visual, or a reading, maybe both, but it's the responsibility of the student to have the required book, which I showed you earlier. You're going to need the textbook at times. Obtaining a book late will not be a valid excuse for not having an assignment done by the due date. It's students' responsibility to find a way to complete the assignments on time, regardless of whether or not the book arrived by the expected delivery date. In other words, just then borrow a book or make photocopies of the required reading, find some kind of solution, right? I'm going to, for comprehension exercises, I will do reading guides regularly, periodically, reading guides, and that's going to be textbook research, kind of accompanying the lecture that I gave. Other times, um, I will just have you for the comprehension exercise. Um, you're probably again, the backdrop of what you're going to need will be, will be the lecture models. The audio visuals will be available on these days. No one will owe me any reports. Where evidence of attention to the video, to the audio visuals, and the readings will be is in sourcing them via discussion posts, right? Via discussion posts, and you see the rubric on that. What I'm looking for, you want to get that perfect 10 score. Take a look at this the rubric on the discussion posts. Wednesdays will be the days I will generally have at 12:01 some kind of guided practice assignment. You'll owe that to me. These assignments are designed to do just that, practice with the material learned through a lecture and the textbook reading. These assignments will need to be turned in by the end of the day at 11:59. Thursdays will be a lab. Lab will be internet research again. That'll be available at 12:01 a.m. They will be graded as well, and they will also need to be turned in by the end of that said day. See guided practice assignments. Fridays, pay close attention to this. Friday, the initial discussion post will be available, right? I'll have my discussion question or cluster of questions. No one is going to be no one is going to be able to post without any without posting first. Let me just check here to see if I'm still recording, guys. Yes, I am. All right. I guess my video cut out. I saw something went wrong there. See if we can get there. We go. Sometimes that happens. So yeah, the initial discussion post will be ready at 12:01 a.m. on Friday. By Friday night, I will be expecting everyone to have their initial post in, because you cannot respond to someone else. That's what I wanted to say. You cannot respond to someone else until you post initially. See the rubric on this. And then you'll have Saturday and Sunday night up till 11:59 to have response posts, right? See the rubric. I mean, you're looking for at least 2 response posts, no more than 2, but you just can't respond, right? There's going to be some stipulations to that, and you'll need to read this part on your own and look at the rubric. You need to look at the rubric on that, how to respond. I reserve the right to modify any aspect of this course based upon prevailing circumstances, right? The institution reminded me to include that, and I'm okay with that because that happens sometimes. And then there's the addenda, and you can read that on your own. I advise you to do that, right? Integrity statements and issues on plagiarism, COVID-19, right? And you probably have these with some of your other Mount syllabi anyway, so maybe it's not all contingent that you read, my edition of that here. But this is your only course. If I'm your only Mount Aloysius course, you'll need to read it for sure. Okay. And lastly is the course schedule. Okay, when things are due and generally where we're going to be heading from week to week. And like I said, sometimes if I don't feel learning's taking place, we take a little longer on some chapters, and we do not get to things like chapter 14, right? So, let me just say something about the papers. There are one or two of your papers that are dealing with the environment, global warming. And one of my big overarching philosophies in education is that regardless if I agree with the subject or not, if I feel that there's conventional wisdom on something and we're not sure if that conventional wisdom is absolute and correct, I veer into what is not conventional, and I have students look into that. So, in your papers, you're going to see at least one of the topics is going to be on global warming, man made global warming, fact or fiction, something like that. And I've changed that over the years because students get right into the conventional wisdom that it is fact. Man is destroying the environment. There's a lot of smart scientists out there who believe that is uh, just a bunch of balderdash, right? And they have some great points on that. And that's the paper now, regardless of whether you agree or disagree with it or unfamiliar or familiar with it. If you choose that global warming climate thing, which is very sexy for people to do, beware. I'm not asking you to give me the regular boilerplate. You're going to be looking at it. It's a persuasive paper, and you're going to be arguing that we don't know, and it's some people believe it's a hoax, right? And so um, look at your rubric and examine it. Pardon me, one moment. Okay, there we go. I think that's it from here. So if you have questions or comments, um, feel free to email me. Like I said, I'm looking at these things all the time, except for Sundays. And you know, next up, you will see a lecture model, right? My lecture and lecture models. Download those and you know with the white space on the lecture model. Let me just say this too. I'll fill in the blanks there. Obviously, in the white space, I'm going to be here with my electronic chalkboard as if I was, in class writing on a blackboard or something. And during that white space, you will follow along with me, right? So, all right. Until later, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you down the road. Thanks. Bye bye.